Joining us right now is Georgia Senator David Perdue, who's also the former CEO of Reebok and Dollar General. And Senator, thank you for being here today.
Morning, guys. How are you?
Good. As a former businessman yourself, somebody who grew up in the business world, what do you think of Donald Trump and what he's done so far in Washington?
Well, when he was a candidate, he said job one would be to get the economy going. He's trying to move in that direction. The regulatory work that's been done so far is encouraging. I like the tax conversation. I give Paul Ryan and Kevin Brady a lot of credit for starting this dialogue this year. I'm hopeful that we'll get there, but I'm encouraged by the tax plan that came out last night. And I'm looking forward to having that debate over there. I'm excited that we're now talking about things that are pro-growth.
To this point, it's been the Republicans in the House that have had a hard time kind of getting things together to get legislation put together and get it over to your side. But now it's starting to look like there are a lot of issues in the Senate that could be the stopping point for some of these issues. You talk about taxes. Will you get to 60? Can you make it revenue neutral? How do you come down on that debate? What do you think happens there?
Well, isn't it refreshing we're having this conversation? And I'll have to tell you, what this president's trying to do is create a level playing field. I think he's going to get a great receptivity in the Senate with regard to that. We've got some tough things to get through. The revenue neutral issue is a Washington issue. But let me point out one other thing. We're actually going through a funding conversation this week that I find absolutely ridiculous. We're 7 months into this fiscal year, and here we are still arguing about how to fund not 18, but fund the rest of 17.
Again, though, it's the Senate that might hold things up. At least that's what Mick Mulvaney told us earlier today, because, again, that's where you need 60 votes.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen. I mean, there are several of us in there saying this is irresponsible. We've got to fix the budget process. We've got to get past this window right now. But we've got to fix this budget process so we don't face this every year. This is ridiculous. You know, in 42 years, we have to fund 12 appropriation bills every year. You know, we've only averaged 2.5 in Congress over the last 42 years. The Budget Act is broken.
This is getting down to the wire at this point.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you're talking about the next 24 hours.
What they're about to do, I think, is pass the 175th continuing resolution since 1974 to get 1 week. And then that gives us 1 more week to do something we haven't done in 7 months. And that's what happens. And 6 people will decide how we spend $1 trillion. And that's just not going to solve this debt crisis.
There was a time when, because of the relationship Chuck Schumer had with Donald Trump, there was hope at one point. Do you have hope that Chuck Schumer eventually is going to work within the whole Senate at some point and represent the American people instead of? It seems like a lot of times he's really akin to his base right now, and he has to be, I guess. But the base is so far left in that party.
Joe,
are you going to be able to work with him? Are Republicans going to be able to work with Chuck Schumer?
I'm an outside guy to this process.
I know
you
that.
have to hope.
You must be horrified.
I am horrified, and I'm very frustrated with both sides, frankly. This gridlock, when I go home, people are so frustrated with the gridlock. I just think that's the first thing that we have to come to grips with. And the second is that we see the world here in Washington. These politicians have been here for so long, don't see it the same way the rest of the world. They want Washington to work. They're less concerned about how we got Gorsuch confirmed than they are the fact that we got him confirmed. They're less concerned about how we do this tax thing than getting something done here. They want the economy moving. Let me give you some encouragement here. Consumer confidence, I've watched this all my life. Consumer confidence is actually up. It's the highest it's been in 20 years. CEO confidence is up. Why is that? They're hopeful. You talk about hope. They're hopeful that actually we're going to break through on regulation, which they see happening right now, that we'll end up with a relatively good tax package that'll create a level playing field with the rest of the world. We'll solve this healthcare disaster that we're sitting here with and move forward. They're excited about the fact that we actually got Gorsuch confirmed.
I guess Democrats would say Mitch McConnell stated his position
on day
6 years ago. Well, it wasn't on day one; it was in 2010. But he stated his position and never wavered, never worked with Democrats. So why should Chuck Schumer? It's almost a,
Well, when I ran, I found that there were very few innocent parties up here. And that's an easy position to stake out when you look at the results. $20 trillion of debt. Look at the debacle around the world. We have a global security crisis right now.
Babies, though. You did this to us. We're not going to be, you didn't work with us. We're not
You still don't like that ad, do you?
Which one?
The babies.
Oh, that even wasn't what I was thinking. But I think about it, and it's, I mean, to the American, that's why 17, what's approval now in Congress? It's like single digits, I think.
Well, that's only because our mothers voted, No, I think, what is happening now with this president, we've needed leadership leadership from the White House. We're re-engaging internationally. You can see that. He's putting forth ideas, and hopefully he'll be the driver behind this tax package. Look, this economy is ready to have a cycle. It really is. It's ready to turn. You can see the bond market pricing in growth. The stock market's been doing that. And consumers now are anticipating things coming out of Washington.
Very quickly, border adjustment tax is something that you've been opposed to, a former retailer. You know what impact it would have on the retail industry. Stephen Mnuchin said yesterday, it's not dead, but the administration doesn't like it in the form it's in. Is there a form of the border adjustment tax that you would eventually sign off on?
No, ma'am. I've lived through this. Why
So
would
how
you
do you
want
pay
to
for this then?
Why would you want to put a consumption tax on top of an income tax? That's what Europe did, and we saw the European central governments grow 2/3 in the next decade. Our government's already grown 2/3.
No VAT, no VAT.
So what you have to do?
Assuming we all want some form of corporate tax reform,
Yep.
how do you do it responsibly?
Well, you do it responsibly by addressing the regulatory environment.
Okay.
You address the tax environment. You've got to look at expenses.
No, I'm saying, how do you make the math work?
I'm coming there.
Okay, sorry.
You're not going to solve this debt crisis without, you can't tax your way there, you can't cut your way there, and you're not going to grow your way there. You've got to do all of the above. And I think that's what this president's beginning to try to do.
Senator, thank you for your time today.
Thanks, guys.